And just like that, after 7 hours of flying, about 5 hours of shenanigans on the airports, I'm in Saudi Arabia.
Who funds so-called terrorism? A report in the UK points to Saudi Arabia.
Flash floods have hit parts of Saudi Arabia.
There is a huge gap between the very rich, the royal family, which is tremendously rich.
Extremist preaching's been banned.
Floods, people are struggling. Many cars were seen stranded due to the surging water levels.
Women have greater freedoms, including finally being given the right to drive.
Saudi Arabia accusing other countries of sponsoring extremism.
That's probably the dark side of the city. I do see people looking at me, and that's how some people live in the city outside of those rich, nice and clean streets. Right here they used to do the public executions. This is pretty interesting because they have an actual tank. That's the drain where they used to drain blood after the execution.
Overseas funding for extremist groups is the focus of a simmering tension in the Gulf region. Saudi Arabia.
Right now, I'm in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert. This is United States in Saudi Arabia. What's up everyone, I hope you guys are doing well, because the last 3 weeks I spent in Poland with my family during the Christmas season, and this is not my typical camping travel content because I'm taking a short break from van life, and I figured out that on the way back home to United States I'm gonna visit few beautiful places around the world, and I'm just gonna take you guys with me. So I hope you enjoy this little travel series.
Bagażu w sektorze bez plecaków.
And just like that, after 7 hours of flying, about 5 hours of shenanigans on the airports, I'm in Saudi Arabia. Maybe not officially yet because I'm still in the airport, but I gotta tell you, the airport is beautiful. The service, the people are super nice, the customs super efficient. You come up, give them your passport, they take your fingerprints. Literally like 2 minutes later, you're done with the customs. You go get your luggage. I'm flying only with a backpack, so I didn't need to pick up anything. And you can head out to the city. So I ordered myself an Uber, and I just wanted to show you the license plate. If the numbers are not a problem, their letters definitely will. This is a very busy airport. I just got lucky with the customs because I was talking to my friend who lives here, and he told me that when people usually come for the first time to Saudi Arabia as a tourist, they stay in that line for about 2, even up to 3 hours. So I was extremely lucky.
How you doing?
In Saudi Arabia, it usually rains about 44 days every year, and you know, it's gonna start raining in the morning, and about 2 hours later there's no sign of that rain. Everything dries out and you can't tell that it was raining. I'm so lucky that during my stay in Saudi Arabia it's gonna rain for 5 days non-stop. Now the weather is kind of better. It's not raining at the moment, but it might start raining anytime, because when I checked the forecast, it was saying it's gonna rain all day long. After spending only a few hours in this country, I noticed this is a normal view. You'll see a bunch of Porsches, Ferraris, Lambos driving everywhere around the city. And believe me, they're not being treated as luxury cars. They're being treated like normal vehicles. They're very messy inside. They're kind of beat up on the sides too. So different perspective on a luxury car. This is a pretty nice hotel, but kind of pricey, about $200 a night. You can definitely find something cheaper or better for the same price, but it's in a good location, pretty close to the main attractions.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Just arrived to a place called Al Masmek. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but this is the old part of the city. That's where Riyadh actually started. And if I would have to kind of categorize this city, I could split it in 4 different parts. The first part would be the very rich royal family neighborhoods, because there's over 2,000 royal members in the king's family, so they have houses in neighborhoods all around the city. The second part of the Riyadh would be like the normal place where normal people who work in those businesses live, and that part of the city looks pretty good. It's clean, decent, there's a lot of good restaurants. The next part would be the part where pretty much war refugees and people who escape from economic situations in their countries here to Saudi Arabia to work here and live and make a living. And those parts don't look too great. They're kind of dirty, the buildings are old, and they're actually surrounding this old part of the town, the Al Masmek. There's few really cool spots over here. I'm going to show you them in a minute, but it's pretty interesting. And the last part of Riyadh, it's a part of the city which actually kind of resembles Las Vegas, in my opinion. You have a lot of restaurants, businesses with big neon signs. It kind of looks like the Strip in Vegas. So the first place we're going to visit in this old part of the town is Al Masmek. It's an old military fortress that used to function in the early 1900s. It's pretty interesting that this whole building is built out of clay, wood, and hay. You can see the old quarters where people used to sit. You can see how this place looked in the early 1900s and compare it to how Riyadh and Saudi Arabia looks right now. That's pretty incredible how the city changed. There's some old tools over here. Look at the keys, they're so different. This is the inside of one of those corner towers. You can see there's a bunch of holes through which they could shoot enemies. And that's the ladder that will take you all the way to the top. You have the old military outfit. That's how the military used to look over here. Now it's a little bit different. Right here you have the old royal family, early 1900s. And over here there's a few interesting photos. You have Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt with King Abdulaziz. This whole beautiful square is not what you think. This right here is a mosque. You got beautiful fountains right here. On the other side of this square you have some shops, restaurants. There's a coffee shop right here and some gift shops. And this square right here by Western visitors was called the Chop Chop Square, because right here they used to do the public executions. If you would break the law in Saudi Arabia and, for example, you would steal something, they could chop off your hand right here in public. Or if you would do some serious crime, like, for example, rape or murder, they would chop off your head right here in the middle, and people would just stand around this square and watch the public execution. Saudi Arabia changed in the recent years very drastically, because they used to be known as a Muslim country with very strict laws, especially for females and for visitors over here. But right now, with the new economy and the royal family and the king who's actually making the decisions, everything changed. They're trying to outdo Dubai. They're trying to be better in everything. That's why when you're driving around the city, you can see construction sites everywhere, because they're building businesses, they're building parks, metro stations, stadiums, everything. They're trying to do everything better than it is in Dubai or United States, because Saudi Arabia, especially Riyadh, is known for copying everything that's in United States. That's why there's so many US cars over here, fast food restaurants and things like that. So right now they're very open to tourists and the whole tourism industry. And if you're coming here, you can see that people are super polite for you. They're very talkative. They always come up to you when they see you with a camera, or even just walking around the city, because obviously, even with my outfit, I stand out here in this country. So this right here is what I was talking about. That's the drain where they used to drain blood after the execution in front of the mosque and those beautiful fountains. Obviously, this whole area was remodeled and rebuilt. All of those buildings are brand new, but this is just a little reminder. I'm not sure if they still do it right now. From what my friend told me, they might be doing executions once in a while, but I'm not sure if it's happening. So if you have some information about that, please share it in the comments. But it's pretty interesting to see this pretty nice touristy area with a big piece of history right here. Like I said before, Saudi Arabia is trying to beat Dubai in everything, and they don't even hide it. They're building the biggest fountain in the world, and if you drive around that area, you can see on the billboards signs saying bigger than the fountain in Dubai. They don't hide it. There's a place where there used to be an old military base, and they moved that whole military base so they can just build a central park in the middle of the city. And the same thing, they're advertising it as the biggest central park in the world, even bigger than the one in New York City. What do you see in front of me right here? It's called a souk. A souk, it's a marketplace, but for some reason right now it's closed. I think I'm just too early over here. Some vendors are just opening, and it's 2 p.m. right now, and I'm too early for the marketplace. And that's because life in Saudi Arabia, especially here in Riyadh, starts very late. During the day, in the most of the months in the year, it's extremely hot. So you can't do anything during the day. So life starts after sunset, and all the businesses work like that. All the restaurants are open till midnight or 2 a.m. and people go out to those restaurants around 10, 11 p.m. to have a nice dinner with their family or some friends. Yeah, I'm definitely too early over here. Look, all of those vendors are closed. They're probably opening around 4 or 5 p.m. I would know if there would be any signs on the doors, but there's nothing. So I'm just gonna probably change locations, because there's no point right here for me to be. I might come over here a little bit later in the evening. And that's how some people live in the city, outside of those rich, nice and clean streets. You have streets like this that are very messy. There's a bunch of trash, small shops, and apartments above those stores. So it's pretty interesting to see the contrast here between the rich and poor. But it's like everywhere. Go to LA, see how many homeless people is there. But that's how it looks in Riyadh. Pretty interesting city and a pretty interesting street too. Anywhere you go, you're gonna see things like this. Abandoned, demolished buildings, empty apartments, broken down cars and stuff like that. This is a little side street. That's how it looks. There you have the beautiful area, and right here you have the normal area where usually people who came to Saudi Arabia just to work and make some money, that's where they live, in places like this, on streets like this. That's probably the dark side of this city and this country. This is a nice old building right between all of those new demolished buildings, but that's how those streets look like. And there's always a bunch of wild cats just eating trash. When I'm walking on those streets here, I do see people looking at me and probably thinking, what is this white guy doing here? But you shouldn't feel afraid or scared. I feel pretty safe in this city. In general, those Middle Eastern countries over here are pretty safe. So I didn't came here to do any shopping. I came inside of this mall just to find the entrance to the Sky Bridge in the so-called biggest bottle opener. I want to see the city from high above. The visibility isn't the best today because it's raining, it's kind of hazy outside, so I'm sure I'm not going to be able to see the whole city, but at least a big chunk of it. Look at this, this is insane. I wish the visibility would be a little bit better today, but it's pretty crazy how huge this city is. You have all the skyscrapers over there, you can barely see them behind the haze. A bunch of construction sites here. This city is gonna look amazing in the next few years. It's constantly changing. They're building something everywhere. The view overexceeded my expectations. It's beautiful. You can see the majority of the city. I wish the visibility would be a little bit better, but still, from this point of view, you can see how fast the city is growing. Like literally everywhere there are construction sites. And here on the main business road, you can see big pieces of land on which they're gonna build more and more skyscrapers. Pretty much do the same thing they did in Dubai years ago. Definitely well spent money, I can tell you that. So this is the main road over here, and you can see how much traffic there is. There's constantly cars. Over there on the light, you see it's bucking up already, probably like a few hundred cars. Over there, the same thing. Pretty crazy, very busy city. I mean, officially it's almost 8 million people. Unofficially, some people say it's 10 or even more. So that's pretty crazy. So I was walking around and wondering why those palm trees are tied up on the top, and my friend just told me that those are fresh trees that they just planted not so long ago, and right now during the winter season when it's very windy sometimes they just tie them up so they can grow their roots, settle in the ground, and then they're gonna open them. So I just arrived to my last destination, and the last thing actually for this video, it's a theme park. It was highly recommended on every website about Saudi Arabia, so I figured it out. I'm gonna come here, check it out. It was only about 150 riyals, so probably like $37, maybe 40 bucks. So the whole theme park is separated into different countries. Right here you have signs for China, Morocco, and on the left side the mountain. It's a big structure in the middle of the park. I'm gonna try to see as much as I can, but probably not gonna be able to experience the whole park since I'm only here for about an hour and a half. So this is definitely way bigger than I expected. I was expecting a normal size theme park, but this is extremely oversized. There's so much going on. You got different sections. Every section is a different country. Right here, there's Morocco. I think that's Spain or Italy over there. And you got Greece right here. Now I understand what's the whole concept behind this theme park. You can go to each of those countries and experience them a little bit without leaving Saudi Arabia. It's pretty cool. Each of those parts of the theme park have their own restaurants, rides and stuff like that. So you can go spend some time, for example, like here in Greece, go to a Greek restaurant, have some Greek food. So this part of the park is actually pretty funny because it's supposed to be United States, and you have a hot dog booth. There's some Philly cheesesteak, donuts, burgers, Popeyes. There's coffee, and I think there's Dunkin' Donuts somewhere over there in the back. Oh no, it's right here. And a taxi cab. That's pretty funny. This is United States in Saudi Arabia. There you go. Oh, this is pretty trippy. Parks like this are definitely not my thing, but to be honest, I enjoyed my time here. There's so much to do, and Saudi Arabia actually nailed it. The presentation of each country is super accurate. The food is exactly how it is in those countries. So if you're looking for something to do in Riyadh or Saudi Arabia and you like stuff like this, visit it. I highly recommend it. But I think that's it for today's video. So if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.